Heather, I was getting a little bored with my breakfast routine until I discovered probiotic cottage cheese.
Total game changer. Me as a 20-something, I will not grow up to be a boring adult. Me as an adult, look at that adorable woodpecker.
Last night, a mosquito woke me up with that evil little nee noise. And then this morning, I had 2 welts on my forehead. Thank you, devil insect.
Aw, that feeling when you're scrolling through Spotify's latest popular music and you ask yourself, who the hell are these people?
Me and you both. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day.
The show that wants you to do just that.
What up, Heather Frank?
Episode 247. What up, Sarah Lane? 24/7, y'all.
24/7.
That's the name of the game today.
And until this very moment, I was like, 247? I don't know. That's not really significant.
24/7.
24/7.
That's
almost as good as
amazing.
7-Eleven. We're going to have to do a lot more shows to get to there, but, you know.
Yes, we are.
Something to strive for.
Welcome to the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. I don't know, we try to unpack real serious adulting, but then we also try to have fun while we're at it. Because, I mean, if you can't laugh, you're going to cry. So, welcome to the show.
Laughing and crying sometimes happen simultaneously. That is fine. We are a safe space if you'd like to do that. Or you pick one or the other, all good. There are no wrong answers here on Have Such a Good Day. What we do want is for you to leave the show in a better place than you came in.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I don't know if it's because we have so many sob stories that you actually feel better about your own problems. I don't care. It's like a placebo. If it works, who cares why it works?
Yeah, I don't even care what it is. You know, it's funny. Case in point, Sarah, I woke up a little bit on the wrong side of the bed this morning. I'm not going to lie. I just felt, do you ever feel like sort of not despondent isn't the right word, but I just wasn't inspired by breakfast. And then I just felt like it took me a while to get going and to kind of switch gears into because I had friends here this week, which I'll talk about later in the show, but they left yesterday. So I had to it almost felt like today was Monday morning and it's actually Thursday as we're recording. Right now.
It's like you're kind of getting back to real life type thing.
Yeah. But this show always perks me back up because I mean you kind of have to be perky. It's not like I'm gonna sit here and go, okay,
Eeyore,
have such a good day.
It's also just Heather and I, as many of you who have been with us for a while know, even though we see each other on this show because we actually see each other on video, even though it's not a video show anymore, but we don't see each other in person really ever. It's very, very,
very rare.
Once a year if we're lucky.
Once a year, I know.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, some of that was like just
wild.
It was, COVID era, but we can't really use that excuse anymore. In fact, isn't it funny how, at least I do this sometimes where I'll be referencing something that happened in the past to someone and I'm like, it was COVID, so. And it's like, totally. As if COVID doesn't exist anymore, but it's like, it was that period of time, that 2 year, that 2 year period of time where it was like, oh, that's actually running my life. Whereas now it's like, it's a thing that exists.
And it's in hindsight now. So then you think back of all these little details from life back then. Speaking of COVID, Sarah, guess who just got over it?
Oh, well, I already know the answer, but I'm going to guess it's you.
Yeah, me. Yeah. I'm pretty much in probably the 90th percentile, probably 99%. I'm better. I'm fine. But it was a little touch and go there. The interesting thing about this time, because I have not had, I only had it once many years ago. And I've mentioned on the show many times before that I'm pretty superstitious. And I tend to jinx myself. So when I went on my little mini break earlier in the week, this was the last episode I talked about it. It was kind of a midweek thing. And I was talking to somebody and they mentioned being sick. And I was like, well, man, I never get sick. I haven't been sick in years. And then I wanted some wood to knock on and I couldn't find any. And I thought, there you go. You just jinxed yourself. And then it took me a week to realize that I actually had COVID. I was slightly run down when I was on my little my little getaway, and I just felt sort of like sneezy and tired. And my dad used to call it like you feel a little punky, where you just feel a little under the weather. And I mostly just chalked it up to like, hormones and allergies. And then I get home 5 days later and I wake up at home feeling like absolute dog doo-doo, like body aches, nausea, sneezing. And I'm like, this is weird. This is more than allergies. And my sister was like, do you have any COVID tests? And I'm like, that was like not even something I thought to do at all.
Right.
Whatsoever. And then I did. I had 2 left. And so I did the test, and it wasn't like a super strong line, but it was, it was strong enough.
I mean, you showed me a photo. It looked
shocked.
pretty strong. There was no like ambiguity.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. And they say, it doesn't have to be, even if it's a faint line, you still have it.
Right.
It's like a sure thing if the line shows up at all. Anyway.
It's like a pregnancy
so
test.
I'm on the mend.
You see the line.
Yeah, it is.
It's
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Oh, some friends made a joke about that. I sent my results on the group thread, and yeah, there were some pregnancy jokes for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. And
now Charlie is headbutting my microphone.
Charlie the cat. If people are like, what?
Hey, Charlie the cat. He's literally like rubbing up against my microphone. I definitely had like some kind of weird fog brain too. When you get sick, you often get fog brain. But I was like, I was kind of doing these weird dyslexic things where I would say the second word first, and I like didn't even realize it. And like, I had people were like, "What? I'm so confused right now. What are you saying?"
That happens sometimes when I'm really tired.
Yeah, same.
Like so tired that you almost feel sick. You know that feeling?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
But well, speaking of tired, so I mentioned my war with a mosquito last night, and this is luckily a handy person. I don't even know if it's a man. Is coming by tomorrow to seal off a couple of my screens. All of my windows have screens, so that it's great.
Yeah.
Like open the windows, you got screens. But a couple of them have come off of their track, and because I live on the second floor, it's like there's no way for me to pull them in from the inside, and I can't, like, unless I had like a crazy ladder, I wouldn't be able to like push them in from the outside.
Ladder.
Yeah, and even if I did push them in, it's like they need to be sealed somehow. And I had told my landlord when I first moved in, like, a couple of these just look a little rickety. Like, if it gets any worse, they're actually gonna fall. I don't open every single window in my house. Like in my office where I'm sitting right now, I never open well, that's not true. I do open one of the windows, but like not when I'm sitting in here because I've got a microphone and it's loud, and there's anyway, point being, the screens, a couple of them need to just be sealed for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is because twice now, the first time I don't know, I somehow just like suffered through a mosquito in my room when I was sleeping. Because I leave my windows open at night because I don't want to run the AC. And it's just that time of year where it's like, I don't want to hotbox gross. I need a breeze. So I leave my windows open, and I like that. I even don't even mind like the distant sound of, an ambulance or a bird outside. Like there's something about, my bedroom is actually really, really quiet overnight. It's just kind of a dead neighborhood overnight. But, you just hear stuff. It doesn't bother me.
Oh, yeah.
I also wear earplugs half the time, so all good. But so that happened once. Completely forgot about it. And then last night, at around 4 a.m, I hear the noise. And I'm wearing earplugs because there's been fireworks around my neighborhood for absolutely no reason recently. And I was just like, I went to bed somewhat early last night, and I'm like, if there's a boom, these will just like bring it down a notch. And I just like earplugs anyway. So I'm wearing earplugs, and I can still hear it, because it's that, as soon as you hear it, you know exactly what it is. And at that point, my windows are open. I'm like, okay, there's only one way out of this. I have to get up, turn the light on, find the mosquito if possible, and kill it with like a magazine. And, my ceilings are high to the point where I'm like, that might not be easy. And I was just like, F it, I'm not. So I do the thing where like I pull everything up over my entire body except for my nose, so I have nice fresh air, because like I've never gotten a mosquito bite on my nose, so I feel like okay, but that still makes me feel too hot. You know? I'll do that if I want to, but I had to because I knew the mosquito was still in the room, and then I started like on my ankle, I felt an itch because I had like thrown my leg out from under the covers. So I'm like, it's already bitten me. It knows that I'm here, and it
knows that I'm here.
It wants more, So, and
it
anyway,
came back for more. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that, and I'm like, I'm laying there for a while because I'm uncomfortable. It's like I'm not sleeping in the position that I want to be sleeping in. I'm a little mummy with her nose sticking out of the bed, and stupid mosquito. And I somehow fall back asleep. And when I woke up this morning, which was earlier than usual, even though I get up pretty early, first thing I do is, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, put my contacts in. And as soon as I put my contacts in, because I'm super blind otherwise, I see the 2 welts on my forehead where I'm like, well, that is very attractive, Sarah. So and weirdly, my forehead wasn't itchy. It was just my ankle. But it really got me. It got me good.
Ooh, I don't like mosquito bites on the ankle. There's something about that skin. It almost itches more, I feel like.
Totally. It's like it's thin and it like there's all these ridges and yeah.
Yeah. I actually think I had a mosquito bite on my hand, like on the top of my hand. It's still kind of there. It's weird. It's almost like scarring because I itched it a lot. I mean, unless it was something else, but I think it probably was a mosquito bite. It just itched like a mofo. And I think you have to be careful because you can totally make them scar if you itch them too much.
I've always had, some people say like, ooh, you've got sweet blood. Whatever it is, I have always had the worst issue with mosquitoes. Not only do I feel like if I'm like sitting around a campfire with a bunch of other people, like I'm the one who gets bitten 6 times and other people are like, oh, that sucks. Yeah, I didn't get bit. And also the bites on me, like they're really dramatic. It's almost like, I mean, I don't want to say I have a mosquito allergy because like we're all allergic to mosquito bites, right? That's why we have reactions. But they're just like, I don't know. They last a long time. They look worse. And sometimes I don't think I've ever like permanently scarred from, I can't think of anywhere on my body that's like, oh, that was the mosquito bite from 2015. But they do, they can sometimes just hang out for a while and just make you miserable. But so that happened. We will get the screens with any luck sealed with the handy person tomorrow, and this will all be a distant memory. But on a positive note, because why not be positive? The reason that I woke up earlier than usual, so I was mumbly and grumbly when my alarm went off. I never set an alarm. I just like wait for the cat to wake me up in the morning, or the sun will, or whatever.
Yeah.
But so alarm went off. I get up, I make coffee, put it in the thermos, feed the cat, say to Otis, the dog, all right, we're going. And he kind of looks at me like, I mean, it's now maybe 6:15, and he's like, well, she's in a hurry. I mean, we walk in the morning, but we're usually not out of the house before 7, because I'm doing other stuff. And I'm like, nope. So we go outside, and he's like, he's looking at me like, why aren't we going the way that we go? And I'm like, get in the car. And honestly, it was like a little kid. He's a very expressive dog. He looking at me just like, why are you doing something weird right now? Where are we going? And I'm like, get in the car. So we get in the car. We drive to this hiking trail that I love that is not far from me. Without any traffic, it's 15 minutes maybe, more like 10. With traffic, it can be, 45 minutes to an hour. It just depends. Yeah. And because the weather is extremely hot, it's like the hottest day of the year so far. today. Low 90s for a lot of folks. Probably real nice at the beach, but I'm somewhere in between the hot area of LA and the cool breeze of the ocean. So it's hot. And I was like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do it before the sun. I mean, the sun was like coming up by the time that, we got parked and got going. But we hit that trail by about 6:30. And it was awesome, Heather. It was so awesome. I have not, even when I lived really close to this particular hiking trail, because I used to live right down the street, so did you. I was never there that early. Maybe 7, maybe. But we felt like, and I've got my thermos of coffee. I'm ready to go. And it's like a big thermos. Like it's going to take me the whole 45-minute walk to like drink all the coffee. So, and we're power walking, and there's hills and stuff like that. And Otis was just like, yeah! He was so happy, and he loves that that loop anyway. It's like a trail loop. But he was so it was like I was like feeding him ice cream. He was just like, this is awesome, because the mornings are like me, I get up, I know I have to take him out, because I don't have a backyard to just like let him out and so he can just like do his business under a tree. It's like I have to go with him. And sometimes depending on what I have to do for work, it's like it's a 10-minute walk, I'll take him out later. That's not sufficient exercise for the day, but the mornings are usually like the least amount that I can give him, because I just have to like get started on, the computer and do my stuff. Like shovel food into my mouth as I'm like writing, technology news stories. But I, I'm like, all we have to do is just start really early and still, keep the pace. There's no like picnic to be had while we're there. We're not stopping on the way home. We're going, we're hiking, and we're coming back. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to work. And it worked. And because it's early enough that, there were people on the roads, plenty of people on the roads. It's LA. But not like it would be midday or in the evening. God, that's the worst. It was awesome. And
that's great.
It is great.
To make
it
that
is great.
effort. You make that like extra effort, and I mean, I don't know if you can do it every day. I mean, you don't have to do it every day. But
Can't do it every day. No, there's only a couple days on any given week where I have a little more leeway in the morning. There's certain days where like I would have to wake up at like 3 a.m. to do that. So we're not doing that. Unless I want to hike in the dark with the coyotes. No, thanks. But no, it worked out real nice. And because I usually feel like, and this is kind of psychological, right? It's like, I only have time to do that on the weekends when because my days start really early, like my work day doesn't start at like 9, it starts like when I wake up, which is more like 6:37. So, but it's all in your mind. It's like, well, I was disciplined, even with the mosquito thing, which actually was really annoying because I was hoping to sleep straight up until I woke up. But yeah, it was a nice reminder that with just a little planning and just a little bit like, yeah, we're doing this. That's what we're doing tomorrow. Yeah. It's going to be hot. Can't do this in the middle of the day. Can't do it even in the evening. It's going to be too hot. We're doing this. And it was great. So there you go.
Excellent.
That and my probiotic cottage cheese, and it was a morning to remember, Heather.
Oh boy, that sounds, I mean, it's so exciting, like wall-to-wall excitement, Sarah.
Yeah. Talk about getting older. You like woodpeckers and I like morning hikes.
I know. No, it's totally true. And it's also midweek, it's work week. There's only so much you can do, only so much excitement you can cram in. And speaking of, isn't this the time period that they call the dog days of summer, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know if the dog days of summer are specific or if they're just, when it's hot and you feel like laying on a porch.
I think it probably depends year to year, but I think it's around like July, early July to potentially early September. So like, a lot of August. And unless you're on the coast and all you can think about is what Mark Twain said, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Except that he didn't say that. He didn't say it.
Oh,
it's a wives' tale.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the internet told
Or a
me
husband's
lie.
tale. I don't know why what we have against wives, but
Yeah, I
yes.
know. Why can't it be a husband's tale? But we've made it to the dog days of summer, however you want to, couch it. But I actually looked it up because I was like, where does this come from? This dog days. So it's apparently like the interval where a very bright star. It's called many things. Sirius is, I think, the most common name for it. It's also called the dog star and the Alpha Canis Majoris. Yeah, it rises and sets with the sun, and it shines during the daylight hours, but stays hidden at night. And yeah, so it's just, I think it's because of this Canis Major, the name, that it's become this dog days thing. Anyway, so yeah, I will say, I mean, yesterday was a gorgeous day. It was probably in the 70s, and I got outside and it was wonderful and I relished it. But it's kind of touch and go. There's a lot of days where it's totally socked in, and it gets to me, as y'all know, because I want to have like a bona fide summer. Today, it's actually sunny now, but it's been foggy pretty much all day. It cleared up. It's kind of like, yeah, like the west side of Los Angeles. I remember living over there, and it would be kind of socked in till noon or 1. A lot of coastal places are like this. I'm cool if it comes out. I'm cool if the sun comes out at some point. I'm fine with the morning to be foggy. That's cool. When it doesn't come out at all, and it's like days after days after days, and then you don't have anything, it starts to eat away at me. But I feel like when I did have COVID, I guess a few days ago, I feel like I've been known to like get these kinds of things in the summer of all times, and I don't know where I got it. I could have gotten it from yoga. I could have gotten it from my little trip I took, although I didn't hug anybody that I recall. It's that weird feeling when you're feeling headachy and nauseous and ill, like in the sun is shining and it's warm. And I just have these memories.
It's a specific kind of cruel, because you're like,
it is a specific kind of
yeah,
cruel.
like this is, if you're sort of shivering and your nose is running and
everyone's
you're
out,
chopping
like,
wood in
gallivanting.
the snow, you're like, of course I feel sick, but not in the summer.
Yeah, and I feel like I think most of the time when I get sick is like in the summer. It's weird. And I remember I always harken back to this memory back in San Francisco when I lived in Russian Hill. And it was this time, it was in the dog days of summer, because it was it was just before the Treasure Island Music Festival. And it was so hot out. We were having a heat wave. And I got the H1N1 strain or whatever. And I don't remember. This was early San Francisco days. So it was probably like early 2000s. And I remember a friend of mine came by with like a bunch of, Melissa did actually, Melissa, she came by with a bag of like, orange juice and vitamin C and whatever. And she was really brave to do that because, I was probably very contagious. But I remember hearing the Treasure Island Music Festival because I was in Russian Hill, and
You're up on a hill. Yeah.
Kind of goes all the way across the bay. And I had to sell my tickets. I had to eat a bunch of tickets because usually when those festivals come into town, you can go see a lot of those bands at venues that are local. Because they're in town.
Like the
and
night
I bought
before
all these
or
tickets.
something, yeah.
Yeah. And I will never forget. That was one of the hardest times ever being sick, but I'm better now. I did have a couple friends here. It was a little touch and go because I was a little surprised because I tested. This was Friday of last week, and I was super shocked that I got a positive test, and I sent it to my friends coming up, and I was like, dude, I can't believe this. Like, I don't know what to do. You guys are coming tomorrow. Or no, they were supposed to come the day after. So I had 1 day of respite before they showed up. But then they pushed it. They pushed it 1 extra day so that I could get better. But I kind of thought they were going to like drop out altogether. But they like really wanted to come up, and I really wanted them to come up too. We've had it planned for a long time. So we just sort of like, we jiggered it a little bit, but they still came up, and I was a little rough like that first day. We weren't hugging, and sharing drinks or anything, but we hung out and we made dinner and had a good time. And then I started feeling better, like kind of halfway through. But we had a good time. It was really nice, and I think that's why maybe I woke up feeling shitty this morning, because it was like kind of a fun couple days that felt more like a weekend, even though I did work. But we were able to kind of go out at night. We went to this little dive bar. It's called the Lager Bar in the adjacent town. It's very cute, actually, Sarah. You would like it. It's kind of one of those like themed like dive bars, but they have like yummy, they make homemade juices and they make good cocktails. They actually make a lot of non-alcoholic stuff. So I had like this kind of a hot pepper, lemon cayenne drink that was for like immune, someone who had like,
that'll clean
was
your
sick.
pipes.
Oh yeah, it was a shot too. So it was like kind of fun. We ordered from the taco truck and had a good time. And so I'm on the mend. The work and the deadlines and all the stuff never really ends. But I'm really grateful for it, because if not, I would be not doing anything. And I'm very grateful that I have a little bit of low grade stress in my life.
Well, I'm glad for you too. And when you first said you had COVID, I was like, what? It's funny because COVID isn't funny, especially if you have it. But it's like I was saying earlier, it's just not something that I think about all the time. And there was a time not that long ago where we all thought about it all the time.
Yeah. And
not just because we were obsessing over it, because it was like life had stopped, or at the very least was extremely disrupted and different. And so when you said that, it's almost like I was like, you do? And there are plenty of people in fact, I will say, for reasons that I don't totally understand, but in my neighborhood where I live now, which is very central Los Angeles, look on a map, put your finger in the middle of, the county, LA County, that's where I am. But there are a lot of people who wear masks in my neighborhood. Now, I'm not out and about all day, every day. I work from home, so I'm sitting in my office more than I'm like walking around on the street. But I'm up and out early in the morning, walking the dog. We always go out again in the evening, and just other stuff. Now, in grocery stores or I don't know, just places that I frequent somewhat often to get this or that, not so much. But around, just kind of walking around, a lot of people with masks. Sometimes those people are with kids who are also wearing masks. So it leads me to believe that maybe there's some like school initiatives, because there are quite a few schools around me, particularly elementary schools. And maybe it's kind of like I don't really know what's going on inside classrooms. Maybe that's like still either mandatory or really encouraged, depending on the school. I don't know. But, and not everybody's wearing a mask. It's not like it's weird that I'm not. But I feel like, sometimes I go out to Santa Monica and I'm like, nobody's wearing a mask. I mean, maybe like one person is. But it's like that there aren't any masks anymore. And so, I noticed that when I moved in, at the end of last year, like, oh, it's winter and, it's kind of just one of those things. But no, I think some people just decided that was their comfort zone.
Yeah, totally. And
also,
you never know too.
Like, you could get a cold, and back in the day, we all just got a cold because we were in the same room at the DMV with you as you were coughing. I think people are, not everybody, but people are more cognizant that if you're not feeling great, or for whatever reason, I don't know, suspect that other people around you might be sick, you just wear a mask.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too, I mean, sometimes you see the really hardcore, like at farmer's market last weekend, I saw someone with one of those real like respiratory, mask things. And, they might have an immune disorder. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. I think maybe they're, I don't know, allergic to dust. I mean, there could be many reasons. I mean, I think masks should be normalized. It's like, I'm not really wearing one. In fact, I was in Kaiser, my my local hospital, for nothing bad, just like routine stuff.
over the last, I don't know, just a variety of reasons over the last month or two. And for even after masks were allowed or optional in lots of public places or grocery stores or whatever, it was very much mandatory inside a hospital. And even now, it's optional. It's not mandatory, and it hasn't been for a while, but it's like 50-50. And I totally get it. I mean, everyone working there is wearing one, because it's like, think of all the people that are not tip top that you're, in very close contact with all day, every day. It's your job.
Totally.
So,
totally.
Yeah. I'm anytime someone's just like, hey, masks, I'm like, you and I are not friends. You just got to get over it. Let people do what they want.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel. I'm like, if you feel more comfortable, that's fine. Like, no judgment. I mean, I probably should have had one wherever I was when I caught this whole COVID thing.
But but then we would all just be wearing them all the time, because you never know.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah. You never know. Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is.
But yeah, I hope to enjoy the rest of the summer. I mean, I hope to get a little more sunshine in my life before winter hits. I do. Gosh, I mean, I've never had such a relationship with the seasons, but my friends that came up this weekend, they love hot weather. I mean, they actually bought a house in New Orleans because they just love like the heat. And my friend's husband really hates the cold, like to the point where he was actually cold, like up here, like in where he was staying. He stayed in our art studio. And it's not even really cold out, even though if it's foggy, yeah, maybe it's like you put like a little hoodie on or a long sleeve shirt, but he's just a wimp. He needs sun. He couldn't live in a place like this, like at all. But it does make me think, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm just more of a warm weather kind of gal. Yeah, if only there was like a test you could take, like, what is the perfect climate for me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, what will make, the least amount of getting a cold, allergies minimal,
no, really,
comfort.
That would be kind of amazing.
I mean, I've never lived besides visiting very cold places. And I've done my share of that. I've never lived anywhere that was like bitterly cold in the winter. I mean, my parents and I lived in Oregon when I was very young, and it like would snow like once, during the winter. And I was like 3. I don't know. I did like made a snowman and didn't care. But now, so I don't know that I'd be doing great in like living in Greenland, for example. Well, nobody really lives there. Some people live there, some scientists and some locals, but you get my drift. Saskatchewan. I don't know if that's the place for me, but the like oppressively hot heat, which again in LA, it hit 90 for the first time, and at least where I am, and that's hot. I mean, it's uncomfortably hot to me at that point if I'm like in direct sun. If I'm inside or I have the shade or a nice cool glass of ice water or whatever, it's like I can deal. But I am no longer comfortable. I don't like sweating unless I'm working out. If I'm hot enough to sweat and I'm not specifically working out, then I'm just like, see, my body is like trying to self-regulate because this isn't good for me.
Yeah.
But somewhere in between is fine. And when people say, like, I have friends who will just be like, I hate being cold. Like being cold, I'd rather be too warm than too cold any day of the week. And I just completely disagree. Because to me, I'm like, if you're cold, you bundle up. You drink a nice hot tea. You've got a fire. Like you can work it out.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as obviously you have to have the means to do some of this stuff. So, there's privilege on some level there. But if you're too hot, it's like, well, once you strip down naked, that's as far as you get. Then you've done everything you can do, and you can't be naked out on the street unless you
want to.
Well, I mean, you physically can, but not some people like it, but I do not. most people are not going to choose that as an option.
Y'all-
And really being naked in the sun, I think it would almost be worse because then you've got all that surface area to get sunburned and
Oh,
sweaty.
I've gotten my boobs burned before in Greece when I was
I've gotten my boobs
young
burned.
and naive.
And
that,
my butt,
that happened
too.
to me. Yeah. You know, y'all, welcome to the show that talks about the absurdity of weather for your entertainment.
we just can't help ourselves.
We
Heather.
can't help ourselves.
We can't help
it's
ourselves.
a tick.
Yeah.
It's a tick. Okay, so let's move on. So,
All right.
How are you excited about the Olympics, Sarah? Because a friend of mine who invited me to go, like I mentioned, this potential France thing. I don't know if it's going to happen, but she's going right at the tail end of the Olympics when it's basically over, like 2 days later. It's because the tickets are actually not bad. Like when you go 2 days after the Olympics, actually you get some really good deals. But like, yeah, there's a lot of hubbub right now. How are you feeling about? Are you going to watch anything? Like, is there anything you're excited about?
Yeah. Okay. So we're recording this on Thursday. Opening ceremony is Friday. So, and you know me, Heather, and my big Friday plans. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll have plans tomorrow night. But as of now, I'll just watch the opening ceremonies and eat my probiotic cottage cheese. Actually, I wouldn't do that during the night. Although, actually, the opening ceremonies would be earlier because it's in Paris.
So you have thought about it.
Oh, I've totally thought about it. Okay, so yes, the Olympics were weird the last couple of years because like first year of COVID they were delayed because it was just like nobody was gonna like do Olympic sports in an arena together. You know, we weren't doing that yet, and so I was just like, and then they got delayed to the point where I just lost interest or I lost track of like when they were happening and they were like pared down and just kind of, it was sort of just a wash. And then the next Winter Olympics, obviously 2 years ago, I just didn't watch them. It wasn't that I didn't care. They came and went and I just did not watch them. I didn't know any of the athletes. You know, I always try to watch ice skating, even if I don't really watch anything else in the Winter Olympics. Didn't watch any of that. Have no idea who won to this day. And then I think probably because LA is getting the Summer Olympics in 4 years, which is going to be a real shit show. I don't care how.
I know you're gonna have to leave.
I don't know. I don't care how much they say we're gonna manage traffic. Doesn't work that way in LA.
No.
You disrupt anything just slightly to the left or right, there's gridlock.
You need an exit strategy for that.
Well, luckily I work from home. So,
yeah,
you know, if I was commuting across town, I'd have a lot to say about it. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in 4 years all will be well. Who knows? But I'm going to say it. I'm going to do my prediction that it's going to be a bit of a mess. But because of that, it's kind of been on my mind. You know, Summer Olympics. Oh, where is it going to be in LA? Oh, they're going to have it, you know, at these various, you know, sort of, you know, soccer stadiums and stuff that already exists, and then get creative with some of the other sports. And also, it's going to be pretty spread out. It's not like they're all happening, you know, at the Forum or, you know, that kind of, you know, various places that can already handle a fair amount of people. But because of that, and also just, I love Paris. Anything Paris.
Yeah,
I'm cool with it, and that's where the Olympics are this year. I am going to watch, and I'm going to get into it. I love gymnastics. I love swimming.
Same.
Yeah. You know, I love you know, the various, you know, meter dashes. There's certain, I mean, I'm not going to watch every single thing, but there are, there's a lot to like get into. And because we're in this age where with streaming services, I mean, to watch something live, you got to watch it live. Live is live. But there's so many different ways to watch either something live or just your favorite sport on demand kind of thing. And for example, YouTube TV, which I subscribe to just as my like regular TV service, is pushing all these sorts of things for the Olympics. Every time I log in, like, well, not every time because I've already made my choices, but it's like, do you want to watch like general coverage? Do you want to watch fencing coverage? Do you want to watch
fencing is something I might not, that might be at the bottom of my list. No offense to fencers, but
I've gotten into fencing in the past just because it's a strange sport.
it's an ancient sport.
It's
I mean,
it's
we
a
should appreciate
if
it.
you're a fencer and saying, Sarah, don't call it strange to me. I would think it would be a strange hobby for me to pick up at my advanced age.
Didn't I do a fencing bit for that? Didn't we do like a weird sports segment on Pop Siren? I think I did. I think I fenced.
I think
that was the
this is
thing.
vaguely familiar to me.
I remember I did like a beekeeping segment and
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'm trying to remember what the other it was like fringe sports or something like that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I should try to dig those up. I forgot about that.
I know. Do
You
they
know,
even
speaking-
exist? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm going to go on a search for that because some of those were kind of fun. I mean, albeit quirky. But yeah,
You'd be surprised what people just like throw up on YouTube also. I was doing a search for something. I wasn't even searching for myself. I was searching for somebody who had been on like an old episode of The Screensavers, which is a show that, you and I both worked on like in the early aughts. And I don't remember what it was, but it was like an episode that I knew had happened.
Yeah.
And there was a guest on or something. I don't remember, but somehow it just, you search for the one video and then, you get like related videos. And there was a video of me. And it was like, this was not the one that I was looking for. And it was like Attack of the Show, which was another iteration of, it was a different show and a different time. But it was me and my co-host talking about RSS feeds and how they work. And RSS feeds and how they work as far as what's the underlying technology behind podcasts. That was the conversation. RSS feeds had already been a thing. We were talking about, like, how do podcasts work kind of thing. And I'm just looking at this like, what are you doing, Sarah? Like, why are you wearing that? The hair. I mean, I had a makeup artist, so it's like, I think I probably looked a lot better than I would have had she not, done her magic. But it's like, look at me talking. It's like watching a different person.
Yeah.
I have no memory of this at all.
Yeah, like it's funny. I googled it. I googled the fringe on Pop Siren, and it came up with the episode "Build Your Own Lightsaber: Turn Old LPs into Bowls and the Science of Excessive H2O." So yeah, there's not much, and it makes you feel. It kind of feels. I feel dated, kind of. I'm like, you can't even find it on the internet. But the other day too. I mean, speaking of time, we have these regular guests that come to the Airbnbs. Like, I mean, they've come to these houses for 15, 20 years with my dad being here and everything. And so they email you personally. They don't book on the platform.
Right.
And they're really nice people. And some of them invite me over for a glass of wine, and they bring me bottles of wine, or they're really sweet people. And so we talk every year, they book every year. And this one couple that's coming, he emailed me yesterday to like just check in because he's coming in a couple weeks, like in August. And I was just like so blown away. I'm like, it feels like yesterday that I was having a glass of wine with him at the cottage where he was staying on my property. And it's been a year. It's already been a year. And I thought, oh, it's going to be such a long time, when he comes back. But we're here. We are already here. Time, man, you need to slow the F down. I want to mention one last thing is, I don't know if it's taboo to like, say that you muted somebody on Instagram. I don't know if you've ever muted anybody, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Not lately, but definitely people who I'm like, I don't want to like unfollow them and have them notice. And like, it's not a hurt feeling thing I'm trying to do, but they're just annoying. And I don't want to hear from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like various reasons, but I was just sort of thinking about that the other day. I think there's only one person that I really mute, and I wanted to find out from y'all out there, have you ever muted anybody, or are you against it? Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday. Just send us a message, anything at all. We desperately want to hear from you. Speaking of, we got an email from our buddy Stu.
Yeah,
he had a lot of cool things to say.
Stu, we love hearing from you. We love hearing from everybody. But we would like to get more feedback. Honestly, this is this is not a talking into a vacuum. Is that the term I'm thinking of?
I think so.
Something yelling into the
Something
void.
like that.
I don't know. You get my point. Anyway, Stu had this is sort of a twofer. So the first one is directed at you, Heather. Stu says, I grew up in northern Wisconsin. There's nothing really there except tourists in the summer. And they say how great it is. But in the winter, the temps drop to 20 below. The snowmobiling is great for the tourists, but it's far from everything. The one thing that there is a plethora of is bars and taverns. I've gotten to the point where I don't even like to visit there anymore because it brings back too many memories of nowhere and wanting to get out of town. So bad that I joined the Navy just to make sure I had a solid way out. Of course, that life had mixed reviews too, but it got me out and living on the East Coast. We used to drive to Chicago just for something to do in civilization.
Man, I hear you, Stu. I mean, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance if I've been talking about this too much, but it is on the tip of my brain. With my friend who was just here, actually, you know, people come up to visit a lot because it is a beautiful place to visit. It really is. It's stunning. And yeah, it's very crowded right now. It's definitely a destination. And you know, I'm always like, I look at my view and we're right on the ocean and it's so special and so magnificent on certain days that I'm like, but I can't leave this. It's like, I have to get out of here, but I can't leave. I'm so torn. It's such a weird feeling, you know, where I feel like I would miss this view if I left, but I desperately have to leave. So I'm glad that you
can't have it all.
You can't have it all. And I think I liked when Stu referred to it being mixed reviews, because that's exactly what it is. Even if I move back to LA or I move back to the Bay Area or I move to another state, there's going to be things that are not going to be savory. And that's just life. There's no real Shangri-La. So the other part of his email is directed at you, Sarah. Sarah, I am glad you made it through the refrigerator debacle.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even told you guys about the fridge.
I was thinking the advantages to renting are good when that happens. Nothing worse than all the food going bad, especially after a big shopping trip. I have my electric go out for days at a time and taking everything in the fridge with it. Have such a good day, and a bunch of blueberry emojis.
Oh, right. Yes. Wasn't blood. It was just blueberry juice going down my stairs. Yeah. So this is just a real quick update. I like the fridge. It's a great fridge. It works well. You know, ice maker, very strong. Has
very Seinfeld. I love the fridge. Great fridge. I love fridge.
Yeah, I do. I love fridge. It is, you know, it's one of those like vertically split ones. So it's just, you know how you get used to, okay, so my mustard is where it is. The mustard never moves from that spot on the side. You know, my eggs go here. Like, that's just when you get used to, and again, like, I mean, I'm a renter, so I've had like a million different fridges, but you get used to a fridge, and when it's full, everything goes in a particular place. So this fridge is just very different than my other one. So I was just like, where do I put the mustard? I'm still trying to figure that out. But it's a beautiful, perfectly new, lovely fridge. It's cold. The fridge is really...
That's the most important thing.
Fridge is cold. In fact, I actually had it on too cold of a setting, and I froze one of my cucumbers. So I'm like, all right, let's ease off the cold a little bit. Freezer, very cold, as freezers should be. So no complaints. Happy as a clam.
Good. That is a great report. Thank you so much. Because I think a lot of you are probably at the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Fridges are important to have. We take them for granted.
Everyone take a deep breath. I have survived, and I will prevail.
You will indeed. So all of that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We're going to put a not a pin, but a fork in it. Because if we put a pin in it, we'd be coming back to it. But yeah, spread the good word about Have Such a Good Day. And
yes, please do.
Yeah,
please
what's
do.
nagging you? I mean, you know, we nag at you all day. Why don't you tell us what you're upset about, and we will commiserate. So email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed. And if you are a patron, you know who you are. If you're considering becoming a patron, we'd love to have you. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to patreon.com/havesuchagoodday. Short version of the story gives you an ad-free version of the feed. If you can part with $5 or more in a month, I mean, it doesn't have to be $5 to be a patron, but if you do that, you can join our Discord, where we have a fun discussion among a like-minded but eclectic group of really nice people. We're all very different, but we're all really good friends, and it's been so fun to hang out with all of you in there. And we promise next week. Well, I'm not going to promise that we won't talk about the weather next week because you never know.
You never know.
You never know what's going to happen. A tornado could strike me down tonight. Probably won't, but you never know. But we promise to unless there's a really good reason, maybe we won't even talk about the weather next week.
Wow, that would be.
I know. What a empty promise.
What an upside down world it would become if we did not.
Right?
But yeah, let's see. Like maybe that's the challenge to to push through and talk about other things. Well, we'll do our best. Let us know how you feel early and often. Hi at havesuchagaday.com. And until next week, I will remain Heather forever.
And I will be Sarah, who has frozen blueberries in her freezer.
Yay! Have such a good day.